I received a question on Instagram yesterday about intermittent fasting. And it was a super simple question, but there's not really a simple answer. What are my thoughts on intermittent fasting for weight loss? And here are my immediate thoughts. And obviously, I'm going to give you a little more detail. It's not necessary. It's not necessary. Intermittent fasting, you don't need to intermittent fast to lose weight. In fact, it could be, in some cases, keeping you from losing weight. And I've seen that happen. As with anything, intermittent fasting is not good, or as with so many things. Intermittent fasting isn't necessarily good or bad. It's a tool that can help some people and doesn't work as well for others. So, and I think the benefits of intermittent fasting have less to do with weight loss and more to do with just some other things. And I do not intermittent fast. I don't fast. I like food. I like to eat. I like to be satisfied after my meals. Sometimes a little hunger is good because I really appreciate my food, but I do not do any type of fasting unless it kind of just happens naturally. I'm not going to force myself to eat if I'm not hungry. So sometimes there is a longer window that I'm not eating, but that's rare because I get hungry. So intermittent fasting is when people, if you're not familiar with the term, that's kind of popular. It's been really popular for the last few years. Intermittent fasting is when people have an extended window that they go without eating, and then another window of the day that they eat within any 24-hour period. So, some people do a water fast where they have nothing but water for days. Intermittent fasting is shorter time frame. So in a 24-hour cycle, you might have like an 8-hour eating window, or maybe even shorter, like 6 hours or 4 hours. And the rest of the time you are not eating. Yes, you are hydrating, you're having water, depending on how the rules, people might be having some herbal teas or even black coffee. And there are several reasons that this could help with weight loss. One is that there's just less time to eat, so you're more likely to be in a calorie deficit. And while there are many people that say that it does help with fat burning, it can for sure. But again, it's not necessary. And one way that intermittent fasting could be slowing down your weight loss efforts, well, there's several ways. One is that it could make it hard for you to get enough protein. So you could be losing weight, but also losing your muscle and then your skinny fat. And then next time you gain weight, it's actually even harder to lose. So I believe that most people would benefit from consuming more high quality protein from real food, especially if they're trying to lose weight. And I typically urge most people to aim for a goal. Again, this is a rough number, round number, but aim for 1 gram per pound of ideal body weight. So say weigh 160, you want to get down to 140, you'd be aiming for around 140 grams of protein per day of high quality protein from real food. I'm not talking about shakes, pills, powders, protein bars. I'm talking about real food, meat, fish, eggs, that type of thing. So for many people, if you're doing some type of intermittent fasting, it can actually make it hard to reach those protein goals because suddenly you have to pack so much protein into the 1 or 2 meals per day that you're eating. Another way it can hinder weight loss, and I've seen this happen with several women that I've worked with. I'm going to give Katie as an example. When we first talked years ago, Katie mentioned that she was intermittent fasting. And I just said, well, how do you like it? She was like, I hate it. And I said, well, okay, we're going to stop doing that. Like, don't do shit you hate. But here's what Katie was finding, and what I've seen happen with a few other women that I've worked with, is that the fasting makes them feel very restricted and frustrated. And if anything, when they eat, they tend to overeat or want more sugar because they feel like a reward. They deserve a reward for being good. So if intermittent fasting is making you overeat at your meals, it's not doing you any favors. So again, intermittent fasting isn't good or bad. It's a thing. If it works for you, by all means do it. Some people say they have better focus. They just love not having to think about food for hours, not to have their first meal till after noon. If that's you and it's working, keep doing what's working. But if you're like me and you want to eat and you like food and you like to be satisfied and you don't like to go around being hungry for too long, skip the fasting and prioritize, just stick to the basics, prioritize protein and produce. Build your meals. I say this in almost every video. Build your meals around high quality, protein dense foods. Foods like lean ground beef, chicken, turkey, fish, shellfish, eggs, and then fill in with those colorful fruits and veggies. Cut out the crappy processed carbs, no matter how you're eating, they're not helping you. But when you build your meals and you start with the proteins, you're making sure you're really satisfied with that protein. You don't want all the bulk. You don't want all the extra stuff. And you sure don't want the sweets, the chips, all those things that maybe you've craved in the past because you are satisfied by real food. The protein leverage hypothesis states that our bodies will continue seeking food until our protein needs are met. So when you're getting that protein, most people find it's almost magical the way the cravings just disappear. Anyway, hope you found this helpful. As always, if you like my message, if you like my content here on YouTube, please hit subscribe, share these with your friends. Let's get the message out there that you can love your body and your life at any age.